we had toured with Robert on our first tour, Robert Plant, and a couple of years later, we were in London and we were doing a couple of nights at the Royal Albert Hall, and Robert's like, "Can I bring Jimmy down?" And we were like, "We'd love to meet Jimmy, of course." Yeah. And Jimmy came down, and we just hit it off like that. Yeah, I remember Chris had a box of records, and you were looking at them and stuff, which was really cool. You guys were talking, and it was like, it was just instant. Like, you meet in school with someone, and you're like, "Oh yeah," you know what I mean? Like, it just it felt that way, really natural and cool.
It was really good for me to meet them because I really admired them from the recording work that they'd done. I kept up with the early releases of the albums and things. So to actually hear how they were doing stuff on stage and working out a lot and improvising, and definitely from the same school I come from, is all of that. So it was really good. It was really good to hear. And then what follows that? Is that the Café de Paris?
We were talking
a couple of days later.
We were in
flew
Paris.
To Paris.
Yeah.
Right. And we said, and you were like, "Oh," and I think Ross facilitated, like, "You should go. Like, we'll have a night." We were going to go
to the Café de Paris.
No, to Paris.
To Paris.
And we played at the Zenith, and that was the first time you got up.
And
okay.
It was good because you know you're on stage, and you know the encore comes up, and I got to say, "Oh, by the way," he doesn't really need an introduction, but Jimmy Page, everyone in the place just like goes absolutely mental, you know. Yeah. And we went to the Le Bandouche afterwards, and we had a nice night. And did we play? We played Elmore James songs. But did we do "Shake Your Money Maker"? We might have done a couple of blues that night.
Yeah.
We were doing "Woke Up This Morning," I think, at that time, B.B. King bit, and we probably played "Shake Your Money Maker." You know, for us, and I know Jimmy, you know, when people, you know, of like his generation, if it's not guitars, and you know this, you know, how many people did you meet? It's just, I do the same thing today. Like, you meet someone, you hit it off, have a look at the records, you know. "Oh, I have this record." I remember that Bigger Than Colossus, that Otis Spann and Fleetwood Mac, and he was like, "You're into this?" And
I hadn't seen that before. I didn't know it was out, but I got it straight away afterwards.
yeah, you know, and being just music fan, you know, when you meet someone who loves records, when you meet someone who loves books, when you meet someone who loves art, cinema, instantly, if you guys' tastes are matched up, then it instantly opens up like dialogue, and you know, and all of a sudden, like, oh, you know someone a little more than before instantly because of like the music that you like, you know.
There was already a bond as far as I was concerned because they were coming right from the right area, you know, coming from a band that clearly understood its roots and knew its roots. And that's one of the things that the older bands, say the bands of the 60s and 70s, we all relied on our roots to know where we were. And I don't know how that works so much now with the younger musicians, but in a way they have to sort of they're forced to go back. If they're playing guitars or whatever, they're forced to go back and listen, which is a good thing because there's this wealth of music to be revisited. So clearly they came from really strong roots. And I would feel connected anyway from the songs that they chose to do. Well, because they're premium, they're right on the top of their game then, and even more so now, which is marvelous. Chris's vocals, I mean, I was really, really knocked out by that, and especially at that Café de Paris. And the young man over here, his guitar playing, he's come up with some amazing riffs along the way, and he's got like a big massive vocal sound, and he's got a big massive guitar sound, and it's just really nice to blend in and have a good time.
Jimmy also explained how their initial charity gig in London came about, a gig which would then lead to their collaborative tour.
Well, it was. What one was it? Was it War Child?
It was the Brazilian Children's Trust, I think it was what it was called.
Okay. It could have been, the ABC Trust or whatever. It was. Because they were around at the time, I think, because you've been playing in London,
with Aerosmith.
And the Aerosmith gig. See, you've got good memories, you go. All right, keep up here. Give it a bit of a dusting. But But yeah, that's it. So they came along, and who was the drummer then? Michael Lee. Who did we have on drums?
You had Michael Lee with you, and we had Steve. So for our stuff, Steve was playing. But then you did some stuff with Guy Pratt, the bass player, and then Michael was playing drums.
Yeah, the thing with Guy, he was always in demand.
Yeah.
And as a studio musician,
because he was playing with Pink Floyd too, right?
Playing with Pink Floyd, yeah. And they were always going off on the big tours, but great bass player, terrific, and Michael was really good, and Steve, I always liked his playing because he had such a swing to things, and so people who were there, they got a really, really good injection of good music that night. That's for sure.
Absolutely.
And it was for us. It was okay. So it's one thing, like Jimmy said, to if everyone's good and has the same musical language, like in terms of the blues and R&B and soul music and stuff, but to play now, we've like that's important because now we're playing one of Jimmy's compositions, and now we're like moving into like something that's a little more finesse than just a 12-bar, you know what I mean? And so I think our motivation was always just to pour all our resources into making Jimmy feel good about what we're doing.
And then it was suggested, so because that was in London. Hey, what about coming over to do some more stuff with the guys? And I went, yeah, absolutely, I'd just love to do that. So then it was going to be, as opposed to just hustling a few jams together, it's going to be something on a more epic panoramic scale, really, you know. So,
and then we moved to the Rose. We did the gigs.
Roseland.
Yeah, we did 3 nights at the Roseland in New York, which was really cool. Those were great gigs.
Fire. Everything was like on fire.
Yeah. So the thing is, I'm going over there with the best will in the world because I know what we're going to do. We're going to do a little bit of blues, but we're really going to do their catalogue, and we're going to do some of the Zeppelin stuff. I'm thinking, right, well, let's see how this is going to go. I'm really looking forward to playing on their stuff. But I'm going to just give you a pictorial view of, like, 10 Years Gone was a song that I wrote for Led Zeppelin, and it's on the Physical Graffiti album. And it was something I'd worked on at home. It had all this sort of guitar orchestration on it. But I'd never heard it like that apart from on record, because in the days of Zeppelin, I'd try and do as much as I could just with the one guitar. And so we did 10 Years Gone, and suddenly I heard all these harmonies going on. It was like I died and gone to heaven, and I mean this for sure. It was a really emotional moment. He's singing it beautifully with so much emotion, and when you hear in with the, what's the name of the guitarist from Nashville? Audley Freed, because had he done a bit of the MD on it? I tell you what, whatever it was, everyone knew everything absolutely. There was nothing that I thought there might be a chord they might not know here, and major seventh instead of a straight major, and no, everything was absolutely.
Your troops
100%.
Were ready for their orders.
Yeah, but it was from my point of view, it was absolutely incredible.
The first song we did was "In My Time of Dying."
Well, that's brave, wasn't it?
That's what I'm saying. Like, we were like forged by fire into that. Like, we're gonna just do this one. You know what I mean?
Well, was that the thing where we went on from there to do Net Aid?
No, that was a little bit later.
That was a bit later. Yeah,
so
you got your chronology spot on.
Right before Café de Paris to rehearse for that show.
That's when we
went into Nomi's, and it was for a day or two, and we did the first thing we did was In My Time of Dying, and it was unbelievable because we had rehearsed it for about a week before we were with Jimmy. And we were counting, and that's a lot of counting on that song because there's a lot of parts and stuff. But we had it down. I mean, we wanted to, we're here to show the ultimate respect to Jimmy and his work. You know what I mean? That's why we were like, we're not going to mess this up for him, And we got
God knows, we had messed some things up before.
Yeah, well, and those things are not easy. As you said, it's all these odd counts and things, and they had it boom, absolutely. And well, of course, I mean, there was not going to be a Led Zeppelin for me, so it was really, this was the it was parallel. I'm not going to say it's the next best thing. It was absolutely parallel, because it had all the augmentation of all the guitar parts and more. I'm playing their stuff as well, having a great time, and well, it's infectious because you can hear it. You can hear the coming together of it, the fusion.
Yeah, there's no laboring, you know what I mean?
No,
Like, that's what I mean.
No, it was really natural. It just gelled,
and it just all, you know,
on.
and that's the way the best music starts. You know what I mean? And or a project, or when you start to, you know, take, you know, you're like with Jimmy as a composer takes his ideas when he's in Zeppelin to the band. Boom, and then there it is. I mean, we, you know, would be in our own way trying to do that since we were teenagers as well. The things that were always the best are the things that just sort of happen. You know what I mean? And that's the real magical idea. Sure. And I think that, to me personally, the thing about that is, and I've seen bands do it, and we've seen great bands, great musicians do it, and then they'll just start to tweak out and overthink something, and then they're going like down this thing, and it's like you have to be available to see and feel when it's like that, and just be absolutely trusting within that, and that's how I felt about it. You know what I mean? Like, we don't. Yes, of course you have to think, and the songs are complicated, and we kept in the back of our mind as well. Okay, so now we're playing this music, our music included, but especially the Zeppelin things. But now we're playing this music that is holy to some people. Like, you know what I mean? Like, so we can't mess up, you know what I mean? In a certain sense, like, we are influenced by that and love that music on such a deep level. And now we know that the people who are in this audience, they're really expecting, oh yeah, you know what I mean? Like, so that was a part of the motivation as well.
But see how it is. He's explaining exactly how they're approaching it. But then there's the other guy in the room who's also got to now keep up with their stuff too. So I got to learn all their stuff and make sure I don't muck up in any area at all. And it was just so natural. It all came together beautifully. When we had our set together, which now you know what it was, then I think there was a bit of a problem as a re-record for your stuff. Is that right?
Yeah,
that's what I was led to believe. So therefore it became very weighted with like the Led Zeppelin and the blues stuff, which I thought that was a bit of a shame at the time, because I knew that we'd done a really good job with their stuff, and they were really flying with it all, you know. So it's wonderful now to be able to see what it was that we did in the first place and hear it, and that's it. So
it's good because people were like, you know, we did Crow songs too. They were like, are you telling the truth? I'm like, yes. Now everyone can see.
Yeah. I mean, I remember Jimmy's like really liked Horsehead, and he liked Remedy, and the B-bender part he played on Angels is one of the most beautiful. I was just like, I used to listen to it every night because I bought a B-bender because of Jimmy. And, you know, on Southern Harmony, I had one made, a Parsons White B-bender. Mine's in a Telly. His was in his Les Paul, which was really cool.
Well, I think it was in a Telly. The thing is, so it's got a bit of mechanism in it, you see, and you can take up the second string up a tone. So that would be 2 frets normally. So you've got this thing where you can just sort of push the neck, and then this mechanism works in. And originally they were made in Telecasters, but I got one made by them, by
Gene
Parsons, and it was in a. So I had a Telecaster, and then I had one done in a Les Paul, and he said, I'm never doing another one. It was so difficult to do. So yeah, that's why there were a lot.
Amazing.
To
have it in I mean, you're the only one that has a Les Paul with the B-bender.
Yeah, he said he would never do another one.
I mean, with She Talks to Angels and Jimmy's contribution with the B-bender, it changed that song for us subsequently for the next 25 years. You know what I mean? It really gave us another outlook on the song. And as we progressed into different things, and we were always kind of changing things here and there. But even the way we play it today, I think it was never the same because of the inspiration of the way of the part that Jimmy played on.
And our current guitar player, I'm like, listen to Jimmy's part. I gave him my B bender. I'm like, you learn that part on this guitar. So Nico's playing it.
Look what you've
He's
done.
trying to do it.
Yeah, look what we did though. That's the thing.
Yeah.
That's what we were doing. We were creating on.
Which is
great.
fantastic when the same thing,
Inspiration.
inspiration, adhering to something that okay, so now at this point, it's, again, I get back to the audience. She Talks to Angels, our maybe signature song, definitely our most popular song. Jimmy adding something that was different, adhering to the song, but making something different is like years later is still a source of inspiration. And we're doing that. We're trying to do that as well with Zeppelin. You know what I mean? Like with songs that people have listened to those records their whole lives. They're obsessed with those records and the grooves and stuff. So like we have to do that. But like you said, but we are ourselves, you know what I mean? It's not like a tribute.
But it was your song, She Talks to Angels, and I thought, what am I going to do with this? And I'm listening to it, and I just started playing something instinctively to it, which is so lovely to hear that it fitted in great from their point of view too. But that's sort of what was going on a lot.